All right, we are live on YouTube.
First on the order of business is annual report of the underlying tax units. Jason Summer.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back again this year to do the annual debt presentation, which is required by statute. And we've done this for a number of years. I think we've done this even before it was required. Okay, sorry about that. So, as in years past, I've got two reports in front of you, kind of the more detailed report with the numbers behind it, it's no background in each of the areas, and then the PowerPoint presentation. And particularly kind of go through this quickly, but feel free to stop me if you have any questions, because oftentimes this generates just a 10 questions, not about each individual area, just about TIF in general, so I'm happy to answer those questions as well. As we go through this, but we'll kind of go right and start. We turn to page 2 for the PowerPoint presentation. As you know, you have the first economic development area that you created, and within that, there's 5 separate allocation areas. And again, the reason we have one big economic development area and 5 separate allocation areas is, as you know, each allocation area is where you can capture the money, but you can use the money within a larger economic development area, so it gives you that flexibility. The next page is when each of the areas were created. You can see 4 of the 5 were created in 2014. And only one, looking at the right side, has an expiration period at this time. And that's the Eagle Valley, and that's because we issued bonds. The other 4 areas, under current statute, they don't have any expiration period. Because under current statute, any TIF areas created after 2009, they have a 25-year life. But that life doesn't start until you have an obligation. And right now, you don't have any other obligation on those 4 areas, so right now, that clock hasn't started ticking. That could be something that could change in the future, with future legislation. It could change that and maybe set a sunset date, but right now, we don't have any time frame. And in terms of this, the only area of the slide that you're really creating is the Eagle Valley allocation area. The other 4, right now, the current assessment is actually less now than what it was when you created the area, just because of how values have decreased. And if you look at the report, I know you're probably all tired of hearing about Senate Bill 1, but one of the benefits, or one of the goals of Senate Bill 1 is to reduce property taxes for taxpayers. And the way they did that is by giving taxpayers additional credits. So for homeowners, we're going to be something phased in over time, but we're going to be receiving more credits than we have, which will reduce the net assessments that we pay property taxes. For those like agricultural or rental property or assisted living, they're now going to receive credits that they never had before. That makes a big deal for your allocation areas. Go ahead and turn to page. Go ahead and do the report. Let me find the show this. Turn to page 2. Page 2. That's a big report. Because I want to show you that this doesn't impact all 4 areas. And maybe something that we may want to consider out there. So this is the Waverly allocation area on page 2. If you look at that first line in the assessor attribute, you can see in 2022, the assessment in this allocation area is $2,226,000. In 2026, that assessment is $2,176,000. Now, we don't know what 27 values are yet, but a lot of this area is, agricultural and 2% classification. They're going to be receiving more and more credits up until 2031. So if you can see that first line, it's dropping to $2,039,000, $1.9 million, $1.7 million, $1.6 million. In 2031, all the deductions get fully phased in, it drops to 1.5. The base doesn't change. The base of the assessment that was there in the first period area, we're going to change that. So you can see the increment, the amount that we captured, that negative amount is larger and larger. So it's not a large number, large increase, but that's important because when you do development, it does come out there. It first has to fill in this negative amount. We don't want to hurt the base, we want to make sure the base stays whole. So that's just how SB1 is impacting your first 4 areas, is because right now it's all agricultural, and it would be additional deduction to have before. So that's why we're not seeing any growth out there as something does develop, because we'll offset that. So any questions on that? It's kind of a very high level of Senator One and how it impacts you. Going back to the PowerPoint presentation, page 4, if you go back to the allocation area, the investments go and mostly the personal property. So 2025, we're projecting about $2.1 million in revenue. First half of the year is really selling $1,053,000. So collecting exactly what we anticipated. So it should be about $1 million here in the system. Next year, based upon the 25 tax rates, we're anticipating tax increment of $1.8 million. And we were always anticipating a slight decrease because if you remember, about 99% of the tipping captures from the equipment for the new facility, and that is depreciated over time. So we were surprised by the slight reduction.
So this was anticipated before that?
Yes. To the next page, as I mentioned, we do have files outstanding for this area. The wastewater treatment plant issued the first call in 2015, and then issued calls in 2019. 2015 bond, we originally issued $3,350,000. There's still that amount outstanding. Now, if you look at the interest rate, it's 4 to 4.1%. I think I'm going to look at this a little bit more back. There's a chance we could refinance that and get a little interest rate. We're going to wait until January. I'm going to look at it now, wait until after January when the year's over and things kind of settle down after the holidays to see if this is a good repayment possibility. So I think it could be that interest rate and that par outstanding. So I may come back to you if it is beneficial and see if that's something you want to consider. If it's the same as we were discussing. All of that. 2019 bonds, we issued to the state revolving fund versus the subpoint previously. You see there's $4,865,000 outstanding, and you can see the interest rate is 2% on those bonds. So we couldn't beat that in the market right now. The next page, helping Chelsea. With Chelsea's help, we're looking at the budget 25 to 26. Comparing the tax increment that we're estimating to our obligations, you can see the debt service payments all cost $670,000 to $630,000 a year. So again, more than enough to cover all payments, which is very important. And then you can see the other current budget items that are listed there. And you can see the expenses are more than the revenue anticipated, but you do have balances that can help offset those. And that's one reason even with Eagle Valley, we always knew we're not capturing more than the debt, which was our goal, so you could fund other projects in the county. And that's why you contemplate it now. And talking about projects, page 7 just looks at, again, this is one of the requirements of this meeting is to help us go to all the audits that are sitting behind you and online. What the purpose of is to very well money for the area and here's some of the things that we're talking about. Of course, the infrastructure works is the the two area allocation areas, 2 and 3. They were both combined arbitrary in 2023. As of right now, we're still looking at outstanding, we talked about potentially issuing that out there, but it's kind of stalled. So right now, there's no debt outstanding on the bond, there's no expiration period. And then page 10, allocation area 2, is generating tax increment from the distribution centers that are out there, anticipating like $53,000 this year, about $60,000 next year. And that will increase over time, and I detailed in the report, because our maintenance on the distribution centers, so the fees will off, and hopefully more of those get involved, this will increase as well. And as you know, the discussion of the issue on to help with the infrastructure out there, but that's his conversation to stop with this time. And the page, the next couple pages, just kind of again for the audience. I know Chelsea likes to handle these couple schedules, but as you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, on this graph, this box right here is a gray area. This is the base assessment. So whenever we create our imaginary work or we fit area, all the assessed items there, that's considered base. We don't capture that. We only capture this green part, the new development. And as you guys have done, you capture new development, capture the TIF, we have bonds that you issue for infrastructure, or use that TIF to pay for other infrastructure to help build the area. So this green just keeps growing and growing and growing. And when the TIF area ends, all assessed value gets to flow through to the tax base and all use tax rates. So right now, here is the past, page 12. You know, you could, if you decided that you had more tax increment than you needed to fund projects, you have the ability to pass through assessed value, which you guys have that option every summer, which you make. So this is just kind of an illustration. Let's say that you didn't need all $2 million this year, and you wanted to pass through $2 million of assessment. It shows in scenario 1 on top of the schedule. If you look at that box, you capture $150 million of assessment. That generates that $2.1 million. If you were to pass through $10 million, if you look at the bottom of the page, when you capture $140 million, you can see your tax increment drops to $1,954,000. So you lose about $150,000 in the tax increment. So by passing through that $10 million assessment, you can see the tax rate for the township goes from $1.39, 1.397 to 1.397. So you can be losing about $150,000 a TIF and decreasing the tax rate less than a penny. The misconception is we talk about this a lot. Many people think that if you lose $150,000, the government's going to lose $150,000. And that's not how it works. It is a tax rate maybe, not how. So there's a benefit, it does decrease the tax rate. But from a county's perspective, you could do a lot more with it. That $150,000 probably can't reduce the tax rate. And significant. And just the next page is kind of going to the extreme. You couldn't do this right now because you thought it was going to be. But just for illustration, if you were to end this comparison building and pass through all $150 million, it shows that the tax rate would decrease by about 8 cents. Now the county and the township would see some revenue because of their CCD funds, because they do see some additional revenue. When the tax rate increases, but you're comparing, you know, for going $2 million to get $70,000 and at 8 cents per area in Washington. So again, it just kind of shows from your perspective, you can do a lot more projects, a lot of it the county, as long as you have projects to do, like actually, and this is, I'm doing this presentation in another county because the school is getting losing a lot of revenue if they create a fifth area. It's actually for solar park right now, doing the exact same thing and saying, you're not losing money, but you're delaying the reduction of tax. So it's kind of scheduled at that explanation. Well, I know we're going kind of fast, but I know that you guys are experts in this. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You can just.
Just here, we did, and we want to.
You did a great job. I did see a couple guests come and want to make sure I'm speaking out there. No, I'm sorry, but if there are any questions, that it's convoluted, to say the least.
Probably, but nothing immediate, we're just here trying to get more involved, have a meeting, see what's happening, so,
I'll be sure to give you my information after if you have any follow-up questions.
perfect, thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, you're right.
In fact, there's gonna be a card, we have open for public comment, so I figured out, I think that's saying something in. All right, has everyone looked at the minutes from the last meeting? A motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I actually read that.
Okay, so we start out with October 1st through October 31st. West Point Center, there was no activity, no balance of $26,566.48. Henderson Ford, no activity, balance is $424.67. Waverly area, no activity, balance of $3,425.33. Eagle Valley area, we started out $6,427,151.90. Revenue with interest earned from First Merchants, $19,088.64. Expenses with professional services totaling $7,551.50, leaving a balance of $6,438,789.04. There are liquor claims, Man's Consulting, $2,730, Barnes and Lumber, $2,822, Baker Tilly, $3,085, totaling $8,637. Old Morgantown, no activity, 0 ballots. Eagle Valley Loan and Interest, no activity, 0 ballots. Eagle Valley Debt Service Reserve, no activity, 0 ballots. Let's Trace, no activity, and that's just some random issue in our sector. The state revolving fund for construction account, September 1 started out at $51,043.47. Interest earned from Bank of New York is $181.87. No expenses, balance is $51,225.34. State revolving fund non-interest account, started out at $6,160.91. Interest from Bank of New York is $61.71. No expense, balance $6,185. State revolving fund debt service reserve account, started out at $911,022.33. Interest earned from Bank of New York, $2,246.14. Balance $914,248.47.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? The mayor will make a motion to approve the financial activity. And a motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of claims. Again, we have, from the Eagle Valley allocation area, we have Man's Consulting for 2730, Barnes and Thornburg for 2,822, Baker Tilly for $3,085. November claims total, $8,637. Can I have a motion to accept the claims on track? So, I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Same sign. This is the time we do ask for public comment. Does anyone in the public want to say anything? All right. Next order of business is new business, the 2026 vending plan.
So I have your packet, essentially plans for your review. It really follows Jason's presentation. If you look at page 6, we maybe grouped it slightly differently, but all through the schedule year, passed, and so by December first of each year, city plan for the following year must be, presented, and, you have to stay within those parameters, and if you not, you can amend it, it'll be less than it, as an outside of what we say. So, the debt payments, $630,481.48. Capital expenditures, $4.5 million. The biggest bulk of that is the Henderson Sewer project that, schools. Yeah. That was like $3.2 million. Professional expenses of $250,000, other anticipated expenditures of $10,000, so a total of $5,390,481.28. Again, estimated revenues for 2026 for $1,806,600. However, as Linda just read, our Eagle Valley allocation area current balance is $6,427,100. So, I'm happy to answer any questions about these, if you have any.
I don't know, do you motion to accept the budget for, Mary, the motion for 2016. I have a second. All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Legal update. Adam.
There's nothing that's outside of the MOU that you all executed, it's just a legal document. So, if anybody has questions, wants to read that, happy to share that with you all. I've gone through it. I mean, it's too long to memorize, but I'm very familiar. I am having to see any calls with Chris every Thursday morning, touch base, make sure we go through the first 2 months segment. Again, this is a lengthy process. I know there's lots of moving parts, but I'm having to county, we got county commissioners, we got redevelopment commission, sewer district, so it is a lot.
Any questions of Chelsea? All right. Moving on to other business. So I think we have part of it.
As far as the revenues, and turned in $5,000 so we cut back then, we started doing the walking on the trail, it's half of the trail, we made a lot of them. And then they decided to bring the tail light back. A lot of people wanted this, we wanted to do it in half of it. We was actually showing all the spots, because I can only do 15 on each trailer, I only had the one tractor, one trailer. We were sold out by 6. So we're probably going to go back and walk that some of the people that say, so we're probably going to do that next year.
That was a people friendly event, or are you making a lot of people
A lot of people, a lot of them, Morgan County, I'm the one sitting there talking to them, selling tickets and stuff. When I get a chance, I'll just ask them, I mean, about something, and on that one too. I mean, it's, we advertise it pretty good on the something well. They got, you've got usuals, they're there, from the night, from Johnson County, moving down, they're there. The festival was really good. I don't even remember all the numbers on that. I do remember the sponsorship numbers on there, one day working with this year, we had sponsored the Community Foundation, and all of those on 2,000. So it was good, one day, one month, and the machines were on. It was good. Good to, so we did talk about as far as everything's on the road and everything, we just had a little majority school, you got the air conditioning in the bus, we went to state side of the leaves, so we're still waiting on our state line of the leaves on updating the panel. It's got 200 unit banks, if you want to disconnect with the panel, so I do not have yet windows switch on the AC, there's some breakers, and as soon as we get state side of the leaves, Delaney House, I've had the Indian Foundation as far as building encapsulation, all of the parts of the back are being cooled. I'm still waiting on one or two on the so we went back out, like, I'm crazy now, from the electrical. So we made a little more competitive, I don't know. So what I see so far is better, so hopefully get that all started in the next week or so. We've got fairly cleaned out, not 100%, I mean, we're very clean out when to start ripping the rest of the plaster slabs off and everything, all that old line is coming out. The right axle stay in it, the old line, it's, that's all coming out. We still have a little bit more to talk about, so I got the stairway in there, and that goes on the water, and all the standing apart, we put up a little board back structure this year, that's right in the back of the building, that's the side of the building garage, and half of it is nothing but parking, the other half is nothing but sand. The legal commission, so much more happier, things are organized and laying on top of each other, there's in the lake house, so it's going a lot better. We've, I don't know what's on this year. Getting ready to start first of the year, I want to start the long house. I've been wanting to do that before. The board has got the first and then say, Eagles House out there. There's going to be a constant line, slide in there, and it's actually thing around equipment. And it's going to be inside the board. And I've got the law secured, we're going to go ahead and start open. I think I still can. we're gonna have some monster lights, that's gonna be the colors and the 2K cars, and we're gonna see the 4 even if it's like a practice, see something out there, so they're you're gonna see it for sure, you're gonna see the long house, the other one, you're gonna see it for sure. But I cut all the colors of my house, and I cut all of my woods, they're basically what was put anywhere from 6 to 8 inches in diameter, so all the parts falling off.
Thank you very much. It's good seeing you. All right, any other business?
This Saturday, at the venue, we're having a public celebration of the festival. This is on 2:35, 3:30, 4:30. I'm going to be playing one of the very special guests here in this song. Concert starts at 3:30, weather's going to be perfect, food trucks, we've got children. Next week, there's something
Our next meeting is December 9th. At 8:30 a.m. So, everybody, do you?
You wanna do that at 26?
That's what happened, it's a meeting, and either you're elected president, or you, change minutes.
I'll forget.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good day.
You too.
Enjoy yesterday's day off.
Yeah, we are getting, we've been replacing all the windows in our house. And so we had to go pick up the last load of those.
Hopefully you weren't bringing them in yesterday. You did.
No, we have a crew. They'll be there Monday to come and finish. I'm glad she had called me because they were supposed to show up this past Monday. And she had said, hey, she said, we're working on a job and it would be better for us if we could put you off a week. And I said, oh, that's fine. And the weather turned out, I wouldn't have wanted all my windows pulled out all of a sudden.